And we're live. Hey, people. Look at all the people in the live lounge. How lovely to see you. Sorry to keep you waiting, but thank you for joining us tonight. And welcome to episode 247 of the Sports Therapy Association podcast. My name is Matt Phillips, creator of RunChatLive.com. And as always, this episode is being recorded live at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel. In this 13th episode now of our reflection series, we've got a part one and a part two for you, and they're both panel debates, with the topic Facebook groups for massage therapists, helpful or hateful, which is a bit of a clickbait title, but if you can't beat them, join them. And it did cause some discussions outside of tonight. So that's what the aim of that was. It is a very important topic, very topical. It's been causing a lot of discussion, rightfully so. With many less experienced therapists in Facebook groups feeling the need to post anonymously in fear of a cascade of judgment and retribution from generally more experienced therapists trying to promote evidence-informed practice within the massage and manual therapy industry. So what we're going to do is, in part one tonight, we're going to hear from some therapists who feel that the judgment and criticism seen in some Facebook groups is sometimes not so constructive, could be put forwards differently, and in fact can do some harm to less experienced practitioners in the industry. And then in part two next week, which is going to be recorded on Tuesday, July the 8th, we'll be hearing from a panel of therapists who present the case that there is a real need for a clean-up in our industry, and though it may ruffle some feathers, Facebook groups can be a breeding ground of misinformation that ultimately is doing harm to not just our industry, but also our clients and our patients who are paying for our services. So in advance, I'll say thank you to everybody who's volunteered to come on the show tonight and next week. A lot of people haven't been on before. And talking of that, we're going to bring up some very soon who are really nervous, and they're down in the lobby at the moment just comparing their Garmin's for heart rates and things like that. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. That's not a metaphor. It's really happening, literally. But before I do bring up the panel for this week, I'd like to say thank you to my guest last week, Cecily Hislop of South Phoenix Massage Therapy, who reflected on episode 118 of the Sports Therapy Association podcast, which was called Massage and Manual Therapy, A Modern View. And we recorded that back in 2022 with Paul Coker and Anna Maria Mazzieri of the ST School. Due to some connection issues, those of you who joined us live last week, you realised that there was some terrible lagging. I'm not going to blame it on Cornwall. That would be totally irresponsible of me. But there were some issues which meant that we re-recorded it, and a huge thanks goes out to Cecily, who's actually in the house tonight. So thank you, Cecily, for stepping up and re-recording it with me one afternoon, because it was a great conversation about, and it kind of ties in with tonight as well. We did mention social media and how we do need to evolve as an industry. So it's there, as always, on all popular podcast apps and on YouTube. And I would recommend that you, in fact, listen to it as a kind of trilogy of what's going to go on tonight and next week. Right then, I've left them down. I'm hoping they're still all there. Some of them had quite pale faces, but we're going to bring them up, hopefully, as we start tonight's show. Before I do that, just thank you to people who have joined us in the live lounge. It's great to see you here. If you are here, then I can bring up your comments like that. Cecily Hislop says, "Evening, my lovelies," in a Cornish accent. Thank you, Cecily, again for last week. Brilliant. You went above and beyond. Stevie Barr, who's going to be with us next week in the panel, is here taking notes. Sir Glenn Murphy, MBE, Sir Glenn, how are you? Is with us saying, "Love, set and match." Oops, I mean evening or, yes, I caught the tennis as well on TV, just in case someone made that. Tris Attenborough, who's going to be here next week, is here as well, taking notes. And Imi Tester is here as well, who says, "Evening, listening as I drive home until I lose signal in darkest Cotswolds as usual." Imi, great to see you. And also Nikki Mansfield is here as well, who is first through the door. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us live, people. Above, more than normal, I'd like you to add some comments inside in the comments section, particularly if you've experienced issues as well. And then we'd love to hear you by putting something in the comments. Right, let's bring people up. In no particular order, I should bring them up, all up on the screen now, and we should crack on with this episode. Okay, have we got everybody panel? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah. Remember, it's a podcast. Okay, just remember that. People in the live lounge can see you nodding, but in the podcast, that's an example of 5 seconds. I'm going to have to snip and delete and get some sellotape out and then glue it together and put it back in the cassette. But anyway,
We're still
great to see you.
watching
Thank you so much.
We are.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know all of you, apart from Danny, Fists and Mind of Steel, and not worried at all, Danielle. But I know you guys are nervous, and I really appreciate it, especially with a topic like this. So thank you very much. Hopefully, as the conversation goes on, you will feel those nerves disappear as you share your experiences. I thought we'd start just with a little introduction so people can recognise your voice, really, for the podcast in particular. So when I say your name, if you'd be so kind just to say where you are in the world and what you do for a living, and maybe on a scale of 1 to 10 how nervous you are. Let's start with Emma B.
Hi, I'm Emma. I live in North East Lincolnshire, but I won't say where because it's not the nicest place. It really isn't, honestly.
Oh, that's fine. It's up to you. And for a living, what do you do, Emma?
I'm a qualified sport rehabilitator, but I'm just doing a master's at the minute in physiotherapy.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Emma. Michelle Hazel?
Yeah. Michelle. My name's Michelle Hazel. I'm North Lincolnshire, so I'm probably not far from you, Emma. So I'm just a level 3 sports massage therapist. I qualified in the end of 2021. But I'm sort of on the fence on what I want to do next and trying to get information on what to do next. Sometimes going into these little groups, it's not always helpful. I think you get bombarded. So I'm sort of on the fence where I want to go next with my qualification. But I've got my own little thing on the side of the house, converted garage, and I've got enough clients, but it's just what to do next, really. So that's where I am at.
That was a really good hook, which we'll delve into later. Because I think I remember as we were talking in preparation for this, didn't you say you felt pressured to do level 4? So many people are telling you, "Oh, you're not doing anything with level 3. It's rubbish. All we're doing is and yet you're thinking, actually, I quite like my level 3. It suits me." So brilliant. That's a great hook, which we'll get back into. Thank you for coming along, Michelle. Who's next? My little list here. Fiona Wright, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm in Telford. I'm a sports massage therapist. And I've actually been a level 3 for 10 years. So you can movement therapy.
10 years. Fantastic. And you're pretty hot on your gait analysis knowledge as well, aren't you? Oh, a little bit of laggy now with Fiona, who's frozen. Okay, we'll come back to Fiona. Danielle Peters, nice to see you back again. Thank you for joining us.
Bonjour. Danielle Peters, sports therapist, graduate sports therapist. Can you hear me? It's okay. Yeah. Cool. With a master's in biomechanics. Yeah. I have a clinic down in Gatwick. That's what I was going to say. Down in Sussex.
Body Health Gatwick. We'll give links, if you like, to all of your various businesses and enterprises in the show notes to people. It depends how the discussion goes tonight. You might decide, please, Matt, don't tell anybody who I am. But we'll come to that as we go along. Right. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks again for giving up your time as well. I think we'll jump straight into it. Let me just bring Emma up here again, back into the panel. Where is Emma? There she is. There we go. Right. So, like I say, thanks for giving up your time. Facebook groups of massage therapists, helpful or hateful? A little bit of clickbait, but when I suggested a title, you were like, yes, bang on. That's exactly what they are, hateful. So let's hear some of that then, maybe. Who should we? I thought, first of all, we'd start with some experience, which kind of led to you being here. So maybe, Michelle, would you like to start with what happened to you?
Yeah, so I started off doing fitness and sort of dabbled, had a few treatments off of chiro and things, and went and had some massage and thought, oh, I can do this. I can help people myself. So at the end of COVID, I did my level 3. And on finishing that, which actually for me, even though I've done all my fitness stuff, I find it quite challenging to do that qualification. So I set up my own little Instagram and Facebook page. And then I remember putting a post up and what they teach you on your level 3 about the benefits of massage. I put something along them lines, what you get told about lymphatic drainage and stuff. And then I got a post the following day off somebody. And I did check their sort of profile, and they didn't have any friends or anything. So they'd obviously used an alias, but they basically said I shouldn't be teaching or, sort of really treating people, and that I was taking money off people, I was lying to them. So I think I'd come onto the SDA page to sort of get a little bit of support, really. And then I did get support. I have to say, I did get support of some people, but a lot of people were like, you need to get your narrative sorted out. But to me, back then, narrative, what does that mean? There was no clarification. So I sort of come back and thought, I can't be treating people. I've been taught a load of rubbish. I've spent a lot of money on my course and put the time and effort in, and now I've been told that what I've been taught was a load of baloney, really. So it sort of put me on a little bit of a hover. But people on the page were just saying that you need to go and look for the narrative. Where do you look? What am I getting wrong? There was no sort of clarification on where to go, apart from, I think Gary was lovely. He'd said, I can give you a ring and give you some guidance. But I was just fresh out the doors and sort of put my brakes on straight away, really. So it did knock my confidence that people were not giving me friendly guidance. They were just taking an opportunity to tell me all the things that I was doing wrong, really. And everybody started from where I am. I think they just forget that what they may have been taught and gone through the years. Some people may have been doing this for years and built on the foundation, and they know their stuff now, but at some point they will have started where I did. But I think it's like when people learn to drive, isn't it? And then you get behind a learner driver, you hate the learner driver. And that's what I felt like going into the group. And then reading comments, analogy. I sort of was then afraid to sort of comment again as myself, because I was reading other people's comments and the sort of feedback they were getting. So then I just started reading and thinking, I can't post and ask questions because I'm going to get this response. So that sort of put me off posting on anything, really, or asking advice anywhere, really, as a newbie. And I still feel like a newbie now, so,
Okay. Thank you. No, thanks for sharing that. A common story. And I want to make sure that tonight we don't get into the topic of a lot of courses out there are kind of like poorly put together. They're very old. Once upon a time, they were good, but they're missing information. We know that. And it will take a long time for particularly the massive courses for them to change all their exam papers and all their syllabi and everything. I mean, we can try, but in the meantime, there are private colleges which are delivering kind of more up-to-date stuff. But I think the important thing is regardless of that, the comments were made and the words were used, which made you feel like, I've just paid loads of money on rubbish. And it hit you pretty hard. Does that ring bells with other people on the panel? Has that happened to anybody else? Kind of, if you remember coming fresh out, were you greeted with the same kind of comments?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Emma, tell us, Emma.
Mine is very, very similar to Michelle. I had just qualified as a level 4. I think it was within about 2 or 3 months. And I asked a question about dry needling, best courses, best place to go. I did get some really good answers. I did follow, where everybody sent me to. Passed the course, no problems. And I had just set up my very first business page. And where it's just kind of up and coming, you got plenty of new followers because you're suddenly very new. And one person from the group had gone through my personal profile to find my business profile, to then make comments. Because where you put in about, kind of a new thing coming soon to the business. And he had written, where is the evidence for this? There was about 20 questions. Where's the evidence for this? You know, along the lines of, I'm a charlatan, charging money for rubbish. And I know it had been up there a couple of hours by the time I had realised. I know I'm only 5 foot, but I felt very, very small, very embarrassed and absolutely gutted that something that I thought was private and local to me, somebody had gone and tracked me down and then gone and fired all these questions at me, knowing he knows I was new at the time. I just felt completely exposed, and it was absolutely horrendous. And I have asked very, very minimal questions in that group since. I have to be desperate to kind of put something forward in there.
Yeah, so similar story. It's going to be I really thank you for sharing these, because although so far it's only 2 stories, I think that I hear them. We get people writing to the SDA and saying this happened to me and blah 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 blah, and it happens so much, and it's going to be so interesting for anybody who's got a bit more experience to listen back to this and just think, oh, okay, because I think that's the problem. I don't believe there's as many arses out there who just do it to bring you down. I think it's people just don't realize how harming words can be. I like to think that. Maybe that's me being a bit glass half full, but or not. Fiona, do you think there's arses out there, or is it just people who don't really think about their words? What do you think, Fiona?
I think mixture, isn't it? There are, I think a lot. I think there are a lot of arses out. But I think on the whole, people are just very passionate about, improving the industry, and sometimes forgetting with them. You do feel quite shamed sometimes if you don't know everything. If you ask the wrong question. I'm lucky. I haven't had an experience, but that's only because I don't post anything. So I'm terrified anything, especially on my business page. It's my livelihood. If I don't earn a month, it's massive for me.
Yeah, that's such a shame, and it is a real shame, because I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person. I've chatted with you, and you've got so many great ideas, and you're so inquisitive, and when you trust somebody in front of you, as it should be the case, then you ask great questions, and it creates. So it's such a shame that you're not being able to contribute to any forum just by asking questions that everyone's thinking, sort of stuff. So that's interesting. So it hasn't happened to me, but that's because I just don't go into these groups because I'm too scared to. Yeah, another side of things. Danny, you've been around the block a few times. Danielle, how does this make you all feel?
Firstly,
how does it make you feel? No, what I mean by that is you've
those first 2 stories were horrendous to hear. I am genuinely really sorry that you had to go through that, and for people to put down your qualifications, that's absolutely mental to me. I can't believe anyone would do that. I'm lucky no one's said that. I had someone tell me to my face, funny enough, when I just graduated and I couldn't find a job, so I was working in a bar, and they told me my degree was a waste of time, which was fun. That was a really sad day when you can't find a job. You're like, oh no, but who cares? We've got a nice unit now, so sod 'em.
he's still at some bar in Ibiza ordering drinks, isn't he?
No, it was a really posh hotel I was working in, and
really?
Some lady had an anatomy book out, and I was like, oh, you study anatomy? That's really cool. Try and make conversation. I said, oh, I'm a sports therapist. And she'd obviously had too many cocktails, and she came up to the bar like she was doing me a favour. She's like, you might as well work your way up here. There's no job, there's no career in sports therapy. I was like, oh no. I was well sad when I'm crying my eyes out. I was like, Mum, it's awful.
Crazy, yeah.
But you know what? She left behind her certificate for anatomy, and I shredded it, and it was the best shred of my life. So
nice.
it was all good. sorry, my dog is chatting to everyone. She's decided now to bark. Yeah, so I'm going to get a time.
That's fine.
Sorry, my dog is barking. But yeah, with regards to me, I have asked a couple of questions before in the past, and I have, like, the majority of comments are usually quite good, but there's always that one person who makes you feel very, very small. And yeah, I think one time I'm pretty confident at the best of times. So I think I'd said to them, that was very rude of you to write. And the admin came in and actually deleted their comment completely because it was totally inappropriate and it wasn't helpful. You know, a lot of us work by ourselves. So actually we use these communities to kind of just bounce ideas around, which is totally fine. And it should be met with questions and then maybe something helpful as well. Like, by all means, further ask, you know, give me a bit more information. We can't diagnose online or anything like that. But like, it should be more met with a bit more like softness. I mean, I was looking up earlier. There's that, obviously, that quote, isn't there, from Mike Tyson to quote the boxing world. You know, social media made you all too comfortable with disrespect and not getting punched in the face for it. And it's so true, isn't it? Like, how many times we've been a little bit ballsy because there's no one in front of us. So yeah, like, I do think sometimes there's a little bit of confidence and quick writing without thinking, which isn't necessarily like personal. It's just sometimes and sometimes it can read a bit bad as well. It can be read quite abrupt because you can't see emotion. But yeah, like, I'm lucky that my qualification on social media hasn't been questioned. I'm very fortunate. But yeah, I have asked questions before and been met with, "You're an idiot." Cheers.
It is interesting, isn't it? I want to get on.
I think there was something as well.
Sorry, say again.
Sorry, I think I listened to the Cecily Hislop podcast that you did, and you said something in there where there was a chap that you walked up to him and you said, "I don't know whether to give you a hug or punch you in the face." And that's because of whatever he'd written on something or how he came across. But actually, in person, he was really nice. And I think that may be the case with some of the people that are posting stuff for us, that actually in person, they probably are really nice, but sometimes they just don't know how to articulate in a more personable way when somebody actually really needs help at a much more, nice level. But we've lost the ability to be nice to people, I think. And I think the internet actually allows people to be rude, and it's not acceptable always, or any time, really.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a problem which is across social media, isn't it? And I worry about, I sound so old now, but I worry about the younger generations, because if they're losing these skills, if they're just talking to each other in short talk and not understanding, you know, the little ways of being kind to somebody with different words or persuasive or showing empathy, then it's kind of quite scary how communication is going to go down the pan. I want to get into the topic of anonymous posts, because that's one that's really kind of made me want to kind of do this episode, because of the things which you guys have discussed. Quite a few therapists now, not all of them, which we can mention as well, but some people are just posting anonymously because they're just worried about the return and the reply. Yeah. Has anybody here posted anonymously and had any kind of repercussions from that?
Nah, don't post anonymously.
I don't know how to.
Half and I think I put one anonymously, but it was I got some good feedback. But the type of feedback I got from my anonymous post was I'd had an inappropriate client in. And I think you had actually said to me, like, you know, go on this podcast. We've done a podcast about it. There's people on there that have gone through it. And I think that's the sort of information you need, clear and concise. Here's the information. They've been through it. Whereas people, you know, just dismissing what you've said. But I think I put that one anonymously. But I think in general, if you read other people's sort of responses, that prompts you to want to put something anonymously, because you don't like, with Emma, you don't want them going on your personal page and ridiculing you or putting you down on your page. So if you go anonymous, they can't find you. So, and hopefully within some of the stuff that you get back, there's something in there that is helpful, even if there are a handful of people in there that are being arses. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. In an ideal world, people would have the confidence to ask any question with their name and not feel kind of threatened at all. But it's not an ideal world, unfortunately. I must admit, some of the anonymous questions, you think, what tower roll do you use? Why are they asking it anonymous? What's that about? Am I missing something here, or what's that about? Is there something I'm missing with that, or do you think?
I think it's the sense of vulnerability. I've been watching for a while, mostly because I don't like talking in there for the reasons we're speaking about. I think you should have the right to anonymity when you're walking into a lion's den, which is exactly how it feels when you're asking something that you feel is a stupid question, although we should all be very aware there's no such thing as a stupid question. So you're making yourself vulnerable. And if you've been through the pages and you've seen some of the replies, you know you're going to get them same people coming at you with belittlement, ridicule, making you feel just horrendous. Why shouldn't we have? The fact that we even have to do that is pretty bad, considering our careers are based around how to communicate effectively, verbal and non-verbal. For me, non-verbal means writing, typing. And, it's at the very heart of what we do. And it's so ironic that these people struggle to communicate or put down in a message something humane. That's it. They lack humanity. And if you can't be nice, then just don't comment. It's not necessary. So the fact that we need anonymity is quite sad in itself. But yeah, it's the vulnerability for me that means that anonymity factor is a thing that's needed, which is very unfortunate given what we do.
Very interesting. Yeah. So even if it sounds like an obvious question, it could be down to some other experience or something they've read. Because there's quite a few. So I guess even that, because people see them and think this is ridiculous. This forum's gone crazy. What's the point of having people who won't even say their names? But there's a message behind it. There's a story behind it. I wanted to read out Michelle Sims, who I think could well be watching. She gave me some information which was to do with anonymous posts. And I just want to read out her contribution. And if you are in here, Michelle, then you can add to it in the comments. So Michelle Sims said, I asked a question anonymously, so I didn't look stupid. I asked about Indian head massage on a pregnant lady. I wasn't pregnancy trained then. I am now. And I got mixed answers. I'd been to my insurance, who sent me to my training provider, and the answer still wasn't clear. I went to the STA page where I got a mixed response. So I also posted on another popular site or group to try and gather as many different perspectives as possible. It was there that one lady jumped on it straight away, saying, this anonymous poster has already asked this in another group and is not listening to the responses given. She can't understand or remember the exact wording, but I think my intonation kind of described what was going on. So I deleted the anonymous post. Now, this is where Michelle deleted the anonymous post because she was like, okay, I'll just delete it. If you don't want me to kind of put these posts here, then I'll just delete it. And that got, I don't know whether she created the expression dirty deleting, but that started a whole kind of snowball of problems now where it's like anonymous people actually deleting their posts because people have put answers, and then if you delete the post and all the answers disappear. And I kind of read that through, and it was quite interesting because some people did give quite constructive ideas and they were trying to spend their time and taking a break in between thirds. Again, it all came from this person, Michelle, just being jumped on and kind of shamed, basically, in a live. Anyone can see it. I'm just calling her out, saying, oh, she's been asked this question ever, and she's just not listening. So again, I mean, I don't hand on heart believe that the person who did that was a bad person, but I think it's another example of where maybe they didn't think twice. They jumped in a little bit quickly, do you think? And this was an admin, a moderator of a group. So is that a problem with you guys as well? Do you sometimes think the moderators could do more to control these groups?
Yes.
I think it's actually quite difficult because it relies on the moderators being online as well at the same time as
Yeah.
all of it going off. And a lot of the time they do genuinely have lives sometimes. But but yeah, sometimes it does get out of hand. I think it is good when they do jump in. Like I said, when I called someone out for being a bit rude, it was deleted pretty promptly. I think I saw that post, and I don't know, I can't remember at the top of my head, but yeah, I don't think it's a legit question. I don't know why anyone would like go in on it. And there's plenty of things that I've seen that have been questions that I don't necessarily agree with. It doesn't mean I need to necessarily comment or make a derogatory remark to someone, especially on a public platform. Like it baffles me, like what this is a cultural thing as well. This isn't just like for our groups, it's all over. I don't really understand why people jump in on things that's, one, none of their business, and secondly, not helpful, because there is a real person at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't really understand that at all.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes what the issue is, isn't it? Is that people don't put themselves in that original poster's shoes. They don't realise, feel like, to suddenly have your question bombarded with what can feel like quite hostile answers.
Yeah, I don't think it always comes naturally. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet by saying this, because it's a plague, and I could spend 20 minutes deleting and rewriting and deleting, rewriting, and then probably never even putting it because I wasn't happy with it, when all I needed to say was a little comment, because I overanalyze it. I'm reading it thinking, oh no, that could be taken the wrong way. And it's bad. It's not like, it's just, I worry too much about it sometimes. I'm not pragmatic, and don't ever ask me to get a serious job done, because I just take ages thinking about the pros and cons. But that pendulum's two-sided. It's too far that way. But then there is the other side, I think, where honestly it's not, people just don't realize. They just they haven't got the awareness that what they've written can be misconstrued, can be read differently. And I'm hoping that when people do listen to this episode, it'll make people stop and think. Because again, I just want to reiterate, I don't think they're bad people. It's just they haven't had that development, maybe when they were young, maybe their education establishment, maybe carers or parents or whatever it is. They just don't naturally have that reflective ability to look at their words and think, hold on, just delete that a little bit. Or maybe I should rephrase that and not put in bullshit or whatever it is. So hopefully we'll see. Fine. What else do you want to bring to the table? I don't want to go rattling on. Anything else you want to bring up?
The one thing I'd say is I'd read something where somebody had put a post up about they'd had a client in, I think they were a level 3 like me, and the client was out of their sort of scope of practice. So they'd said that they'd sent the client on to another professional, but they were just asking if there was any courses available so they could be better informed and better signpost in the future if anybody else came through. People totally ignored the fact that she had sent the client off for referral to someone else, and she just got bombarded with, you can't treat the client, out of your scope, one after the other. And every so often she came in and said, actually, no, I've referred the client, I'm just asking for courses. And then sometimes you get these little debates going on further down the page, and then the question at the top is totally forgotten about. So I find that goes on a lot, where the actual question originally disappears, and then we get a whole debate of something else going on, and then the person gets no sort of advice in the end, apart from this debate going on about how much out of scope treating that client is.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the original person who just went there, the sole practitioner with a little bit of help, has just gone, hey guys, can everybody hear me? I just wanted to know about. And it's turned into some philosophical debate about what is evidence-based or evidence-practiced, or should it be evidence-informed? It's just got, what? Yeah, that can happen. I mean, people get obsessed with other little decide. Maybe the whole structure of Facebook groups just needs changing. Maybe one of the problems here is, I mean, I thought last night, again, just reflecting too much, about whether this might be a bad idea to get ready to shoot me down. In some other forums, next to people's names, this wouldn't work with Facebook, but it's got kind of like level of experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm thinking of like other forums, not social media ones, but whenever anyone posts, it's got level of experience basically. So you straight away, you know, now if you're talking to somebody who's got less experience or somebody who's got more experience or something. I don't know whether that would help or not, but at the moment, no one's got a clue about anybody unless they bother clicking on their profile and learning a bit about them. And it's often it's tricky to talk to people if you don't know anything about them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Or maybe I'm just being too. Maybe it's up to the person to go, how long have you been qualified? That would help. Well, I'm just jumping in with, that's rubbish. It's not evidence informed. This was another interesting question. This evidence-based, evidence-informed thing, it's thrown around willy-nilly and it's used as like the answer to everything. Well, that's not evidence-based. That's not evidence-informed. Do you know what? We're going to do a whole episode about that, because I think as we were talking before, you read it a lot. It's not something, sadly, that you're introduced to when you finished your diploma or whatever course you did. And yet it's thrown about the forums as some kind of like magic answer to everything. But you've mentioned it a few times, some of you, but is it something which in time you've managed to learn about and now you understand what they're talking about, and you just wish at the time, you know, when you asked the question, they just kind of eased you more gently into it? Is it a problem?
Yeah, for me, I mean, coming out of my level 3 and level 4 in sports massage, I wouldn't, if somebody had have said, what does evidence-based mean? And I said, I don't know. Is it something to do with baking? It was only through my undergrad and now my master's that I really know what it is, what I have to do, where I have to go, how it should be done, and all those hoops you have to go through, which is great. At level 3 and level 4, which are the people who ask these questions, they still aren't clear. And I know you get some people asking questions about courses. Some are fantastic. Some are a bit, well, gives you money. Let's tell you you're qualified in X, Y, and Z. And I know Gary is always jumping to somebody's rescue and say, come and talk to me. I'll give you kind of a no holds barred advice, which is fabulous. And at level 3 and level 4, you're pushed with this information and you still don't have a clue because you don't know how to check the evidence base. If you've been in your business for 10, 15, 20 years, that's really great. You're telling people check the evidence base. That's usually the one comment and a couple of lines of check the evidence base. Okay, if you're going to write that, tell them where to go. How do they do it at level 3? Give a little bit more information instead of the sarcastic, where's your evidence base? Like what happened with me, if it had given me a private message and said, look, Emma, do you know? I'd have absolutely been, you know, up for talking, making a conversation, because then that becomes networking instead of this personal slating and then never to wanting to ask anybody else in that group again.
And I got thrown at me, what do you think Google's for? There's so much rubbish on Google. How are you supposed to go and Google something? It brings up all sorts. There needs to be some sort of clear and concise guidance. And then perhaps we wouldn't ask these so-called stupid questions, but they're not stupid to us. So some of the questions, like it's, I suppose, level dependent, but like I said, so everybody's started at some sort of a level where they've needed to ask a so-called stupid question. It's just, if you don't feel the need or that you can give like good advice, then maybe just read and let somebody else that has got the patience to give the advice, and just read and don't post if you've got nothing, nice to put in a nice way. Sometimes I think people have probably had a hard day at work, they're busy, they have a quick look and they probably just throw comments out there, which I said before, and it gets typed in a way that can get taken or misconstrued in the wrong way. But and then when you read back the following morning, which I think another member had said, you read back some of their comments and thought, oh, actually, that was a bit harsh. Perhaps I should have worded that a bit differently. But I think we're all guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really nice thing to point out, that we are all human. And yeah, sometimes the people who kind of jump on something and even say, oh, here we go again, the more bullshit. They might have had about 10 of the same conversations in the last 2 days or something, and they're just kind of venting out in public. And I've seen some people, including people in the comment section tonight, who have kind of come back later and go, oh no, I was wrong about that or something, and kind of go, I was a bit too harsh with my comments or something. So it does happen. Carol Walton, who also contributed to us putting this together and may well be in the live lounge listening, she mentioned she had a situation where I get this. She had the retort, the reply with, "Oh, you mustn't forget about the brain. Humans are very complex," and that was almost the same as evidence informed, because she wrote here. She says, "As a woman who's 62 years old." Oh, this is where I got the expression from. Sorry, Danielle. It was Carol who said, "I'm 62 years old and I've been around the block a few times, and I think I know understand the complexities of the brain." So she found that very patronising. And again, I don't think it's meant to be patronising, but it's the same as when we say to our patients, "Oh, it's because the pain is in your brain." It's kind of a terrible thing, which we realise now we should avoid quite a lot, because it's just kind of, well, firstly, it's inaccurate, and secondly, it can make the patient or client believe that you're saying it's all made up. But it's kind of the same thing. We've got to be very careful in the comments when we start saying to less experienced therapists, "Oh, don't forget about the brain. It's very complex human beings," because it just comes across as patronising, and it's not going to make sense. The other person's not going to go, "Oh yeah, I get it now. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's totally clear. Thanks very much. Totally get it now." So yeah, there is a bit of reflection that's needed. Fiona, what are you thinking? I can see the cogs in your mind going round.
Yeah, sorry, I'm dropping in and out a bit of with the sound, so I've been struggling a little bit. But I think the important point to make is that for a lot of us that work by ourselves, it's these can, when I don't have colleagues I can bounce ideas off or questions of. So to be able to ask in a safe environment and get good honest replies with some kind of empathy make a massive difference to how I run my business, how I treat my clients, and then for our industry. For a lot of people who do work by themselves and have a place we can go to questions.
Yeah, that's true as well. It's ironic, isn't it? As a sole practitioner, you go to Facebook groups for support, and then you get jumped on, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's out now. Where do I go? Who am I supposed to talk to if I can't get something from Facebook? Again, that makes me think whether I'm thinking of other forums, but even in some forums, every time you post, you can have a little. Again, that might help avoid. I'm just trying to think of solutions. As a typical bloke, I'm just trying to think of solutions. I should just be listening and empathising. But
I think reflective practice, which is also very important according to the evidence base that everybody likes to shout about, maybe they could do some reflective practice and change how they communicate. I am sorry to everybody here, but I've heard a lot of excuses of they've had a bad day, misconstrued. Just, it's us, we're sensitive, we are, maybe it's our fault, maybe it's a stupid question. And I've just read a comment from Nikki Mansfield saying, sometimes it's the ego thing, the bullies, and she is absolutely right. It's the same people saying the same things. I mean, it was a couple of years ago it happened to me with this man, and I have never forgotten. And these people haven't changed at all. Their communication skills are still as poor as originally. They are still saying the same thing. Why aren't they educating these new people? Change the way you communicate, because you wouldn't send a message like that to a client because you'd be quickly out of business, very, very quickly, and come with a bad reputation. I apologise for that, everyone. I wouldn't dream of messaging or sending up something like that into a public forum and berating somebody who's only a level 3 or a level 4.
Yeah. And I think face to face as well, a lot of these people wouldn't address people in the same way. If they were in a course together and
Yeah.
somebody's at a different level, they wouldn't speak to them that way, because face to face, you don't know what sort of response you're going to get. But when you've got miles and miles and a computer to another computer, they can pretty much get away with saying what they like. And there's no real comeuppance at the end of it. They say what they've got to say. And sometimes if they form a little group and you've got quite a few of them that agree and all jump on, it sort of becomes a little bit of a habit to hop on and say these things on a regular basis, and then nothing gets done about it. So I think it's good that we like you've done this tonight, because it brings it to the forefront, and it may make some people think twice before they post something which is a bit abrupt. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll carry on. I don't know.
It'll be good to watch in the future.
Yeah.
I do think to like slightly lighten it, like superhero Gary G Dog Benson,
Yeah.
like he often, I don't know if anyone's else noticed, but he often does come into these discussions and he'd be like, give me a shout, give me a call, let's have a discussion.
Yeah.
And and I think I've asked a question before. He's like, Dan, give me a call. I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, I think that maybe is something maybe we should all like start thinking about as so it's all easy for us to say, well, this is awful, but maybe what a solution is maybe to say, drop me a DM. I might be able to help you. Let's have a conversation, and then it becomes like a bit more personable rather than like the thing with these posts. It's quite the equivalent of like you standing on speaker's corner and shouting out to the public your question, and of course like everyone's like, okay, sure. But sometimes actually what you need to do, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe what we need to do is say, give me a shout. I think I've done it to someone before where I was like, I think I know how to help you. And I just said, oh, drop me a DM because I've done something similar before. And then we had a little like two-way conversation. It was much more in depth and stuff, but it probably wouldn't have been suitable for like the masses, if that makes sense. So maybe like be more like Gary, like
hashtag
be more Gary. But yeah, maybe like be a bit more support. Maybe we could like change this as well and use this as a way of learning as well. Maybe we need to just offer out a hand if we think we can help that person.
That's nice. And I'm not sure we see that very often in groups, do we? Where somebody just goes, if you wanted to, I mean, whenever I see it, I always think, oh, this person's sending a course or something, or DM me. Yeah. But in actual fact, there should be more, shouldn't they? Just DM me if you want to chat, because just in private. That's the problem here, isn't it? It's hanging out your washing. Everyone's looking, everyone's judging, and a lot of these conversations probably should just be on a one-to-one kind of thing, within a couple of minutes that they're opened up to the general public. Yeah, good. I like that. Be more like Gary. Hashtag be more like Gary. It's cool. That's true. Wonderful. Right, it's getting late. Is there anything? I just want to hear anything else which you guys want to bring to it. I mean, like I say, next week there's some lovely people jumping on who have got more experience. I'm sure they're going to have a lot to reflect on and look inside. But is there anything else you'd like to send as a message to somebody who is watching this and maybe have kind of unknowingly kind of jumped on someone a bit too violently in a Facebook group?
I feel like I'm leaving a message for my children here, but the message is really simple. Just be bloody nice, because it doesn't really hurt. That's it from me. Just
what
be
are you
nice.
saying? You're sitting on the fence there, aren't you? Just say what you think. What do you mean by just being nice? Yeah, it's true. It's that simple, isn't it?
Yeah, temper your reply. If you're having a crappy day, wait until you get home. If you're busy, wait until you're not so busy. If you're rushing, wait until you're not. It really is that simple. If you're struggling to communicate, like we said earlier, with ADHD, etc., wait until you've had a little bit of downtime. I know my son has ASD, so I know exactly what it's like when your brain feels like it's on fire. Wait until you've had your downtime, then reply. Other than that, don't reply at all, and let somebody with a little bit more patience and a little bit more willingness be able to say, hi, Hashtag, be more like Gary. Do you want to give me a DM?
And also, if there's an anonymous option on a page, it's a choice whether you use it or not. And it shouldn't be you can't use the anonymous. If you don't want us to use the anonymous, then take it off. But if it's there and I don't feel safe, I will use it.
Yeah,
So,
it shouldn't come with any kind of comebacks
No.
using that at all.
yeah, I think as well, yeah. So,
But it
yeah,
could
either
be
get rid of it or not use it.
for the moderators or I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? People do this voluntarily, but if I had a
Yeah.
group and I was seeing someone who, because okay, this is an important point. Let's bring Mike a little bit closer here. If you're posting anonymously in a Facebook group, the moderators and admin staff still see your name. You're not anonymous. Just putting that out there. Just in
I
case.
know that, and somebody had put that before that they'd posted something. I think you popped it in the chat, and they hadn't realised, but actually it clearly states that. And you guys are professional, so I would expect like you guys to, not say horrible things and stuff, and that you can see it, but also police the situation and probably understand why somebody's posted that anonymously.
And I think maybe it's not so much a red flag, but it's definitely something to follow up. Maybe contact that person, just say, hey, I noticed you you've posted a few times anonymously. Should we have a little chat? Is there something which is stopping you? Have you had a bad experience? That would be nice, wouldn't it? If someone did have time and they were kind of fostering a group and looking after it, then anyone who's basically, it's a yellow flag, isn't it? Someone who has posted anonymously are doing it for a reason. So rather than just let them keep on doing it, there's a conversation there to be had, isn't there? I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, look, great information, people. Really, really, really thank you for sharing that information. If people have been affected by tonight and they've liked what you've had to say, then I'm going to read out where I think you guys can be contacted. So Emma B, I notice Instagram, @bestrong_clinic. Is that a good place for people to follow you? Yeah.
As long as they don't put nasty comments, I'm okay.
I don't think anyone's going to dare do that after tonight. No. They're not going to. Yeah. So well, these all go in the links. But yeah, for people who are listening, Instagram @BBEE strong_clinic. Michelle, you Instagram as well? happy_minds_massage_therapy.
That's the one. That's me.
That's the one. Yeah. So that's a nice place you can look out, and maybe if you want to reach out to Michelle Hazel, Fiona Wright, Fit and Well Massage Therapy on Facebook. You've got an Instagram account as well, which has got some lovely photos.
Yes.
Can people reach out to you on Instagram?
Yeah, they absolutely can.
Yeah, so that's @FIWright, WRIGHT 78. So @FIWright78. Danielle Peters, owner at Body Health Gatwick. Best place for people to follow you or reach out for you, Danielle?
Probably Instagram or Facebook, Body Health Gatwick.
Body Health Gatwick, simples. Wonderful. And then also just want to thank Carol Dalton and Michelle Sims for sharing as well their experiences, which I've mentioned a little bit tonight. So thank you for you two as well. And thank you for people in the live lounge. I haven't been able to follow and kind of share your comments, but you've had some interesting points in there, which people who are rewatching this on YouTube. That's the point, actually. If you listen to the podcast and you want to see the comments, all you got to do is go to YouTube. And you'll see the little conversations which are going on. Sometimes there's some really interesting stuff being raised there and some advice as well. So do go and have a look at what's going on in there on YouTube if you want to. Right then, that's it. So next week, 8 o'clock, July the 8th, in part 2, we're going to be hearing from a panel of therapists, half of who I think are here tonight, who are going to be presenting, they're going to be reflecting on what they've heard tonight. And they're going to be presenting there's always another side to the story, isn't there? There is a side of the story where Facebook groups can be a real breeding ground for the perpetuation of myths and perpetuation of people acting outside of their scope. And the argument is that, this is why these people need help and support and educating gently. But I think one of the problems is, more experienced therapists go and check these out. And it's the same stuff again and again and again. And people don't seem to be changing. Our industry doesn't seem to be changing. And we're not being taken seriously by other healthcare professionals because of some of the stuff which we're still spreading, which we learned on the original course. So that's not providing any excuses for being nasty or blunt. You've still got to be nice. But yeah, they're going to be looking at it from that point of view. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. If you have listened to this podcast, I'll put it out as soon as I can, probably tomorrow. Come along and hear what the panel next week have to say, and come along and comment. And yeah, be great. Right, thanks again, guys. How do you feel now? Less nervous?
Yeah, heart rate's
Pressure's
right.
definitely gone down.
Yeah, they're looking pretty. Before it was a little bit up here, but now we seem to be a little bit more relaxed, which is great. I told you it'd be fine once you got through. No, I really appreciate you guys stepping up and just sharing. It is inspiring for anybody else out there who wants to get on this reflection series. Then, if there is an episode of the Sports Therapy Association podcast which affected you and what you do in clinic, and you like it, and you want to kind of give a call out for the guest on there, then email me, matt@thesta.co.uk, or find me, Matt Phillips or One Chat Live on social media, and say, oh, I quite fancy that. I like the idea of that. And you can come on the show and have a chat about that episode. Again, no right or wrong answers, just about you reflecting, because people are really inspired by you guys, including you guys. They'll hear you and they'll go, wow, I want to do that. I can do that. So thank you for giving up your time and the nerves. Hopefully it's not something you're going to carry around negatively. Yeah, I hope there's not going to be any post-trauma at all or anything like that. So, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you everyone in the live lounge. Right, hopefully we'll see some of you next week. But until then, as always, I normally say take care of each other, but I'm going to use Emma B's quote here. Be nice. Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.